Since 1964, the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs has been the single most important amateur auto race in the nation. This weekend, almost 600 competitors will fight for a medal in what has been called the Olympics of auto racing. This is where professional racing careers are launched. This is where legacies are born. This is the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back for Day 3 of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb. As this absolutely phenomenal event has returned for just 1 year this time, but has returned to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which was its home for some 12 years. And Dorsey Schrader, it's been an interesting change here in terms of weather. We've started pretty much this entire week with warm, humid mornings. It's downright cold today, 50 degrees right now as we are getting ready to start this final day of racing.
And that can play into these cars that we're about to see on the racetrack for sure. We were in the 90s all week long. This morning, woke up to a brisk 48 degrees. The sun's out now, and it's warmed it up to a balmy 50, if you will.
Absolutely. So this is going to be an interesting morning, just in the sense that the track's going to be significantly colder than these guys have experienced. With the air being colder, we're starting off with Formula Atlantic. What a fast class. Engines will make a little bit more power, but boy, the tunnels and the aero on these cars is going to be wickedly effective in this.
Well, they're going to really have to get those tires warmed up on that pace lap as they go out there, because there are a couple of real slow corners where the ground effects don't help at all. And primarily, you look at the corners like the Keyhole and Madness, where you're not really going all that quickly. Even the carousel on the other end is very, very slippery in these mornings.
Well, and what we're seeing for a forecast is by the early afternoon, we're supposed to be up in the low to mid-70s. It's going to be absolutely delightful, just sort of a chilly start to the day. As we start this third day, let's look back over the first two. And I mean, not necessarily specific to the racing, but just the event itself. This has been an absolutely wonderful runoff.
Well, you've got 600 some odd cars, 500 corner workers plus here. The parties have been great. The weather has been phenomenal. There's been no chance of rain whatsoever. So the energy level is very high. It's been high all weekend. And each day seems to get a little bit bigger. The first day, on Friday we had some of the strangest races I've ever seen. You couldn't predict. And then it's just kind of built a crescendo as you're going forward. Now it's getting bigger and bigger. Big crowd, even at this time of the morning, they're already here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people, as you remember, the last few years that this event was here in the previous runnings, huge crowds would come out, and I think everybody was really looking forward to having this one come back here. And obviously, this track is, I think, one of the best places you can have this event, simply because it doesn't necessarily reward big wallets. It rewards great skill.
Good look at some of the corner crews there as they drink their morning coffee and get a bite to eat, because their day will be a long one.
Yeah, they're here for the first race, and they are there throughout. Get delivered to lunch during the day, and, of course, we've talked about how crucial it is. And there's a look, Tom Michaels, who people that have been following racing, and certainly IndyCar racing and the runoffs here, up in his perch, getting ready to call the action with John Phippen and Scotty and Rusty Bell.
He can be a corner worker to look out the front, or a deer hunter and look out the back. Either one. He's set up.
Exactly, and I'll tell you what, they do a great job here doing the PA call, and we're delighted to be able to be here and bring this all to you on the web. And just to let you know what's going to happen, we're just kind of doing a general welcome and everything. We're going to pause in just a couple of minutes here and then do the official open, because every one of these races is actually turned into an individual show that is archived at scca.com. And you can also, once they get things all done, usually buy a CD or a DVD set to be able to watch. So we're going to be having the odd pause here and there, and in between races we might take a little bit of a break just to get a little spell, but we'll be calling everything for you. And there's the best message of all. Good luck to all drivers, crews, workers, everybody.
And there's a reason they call that little building above that a crow's nest, because there's a crow in it.
And that is a view. Yeah, exactly. So, and it's just a fabulous day here. We're looking forward to it. And, 28 this time national champions that we're going to be crowning. So it is a very significant event. People coming from all over, a good entry, and while we're delighted to be here, of course, there's great excitement for those of you that may not be aware of it. Next year's Runoffs, Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course, so that should be a pretty big event too.
That'll be a huge event because people are just going to go for it being at Indy. I mean, so you can officially say I did run at Indianapolis and go across those yard of bricks. It's very special to everybody, so it'll be a huge entry. That being said, it's going to be a logistics nightmare to put all those cars because that's not a very big racetrack. We've raced there several times. I mean, it's prohibitively small.
Yeah, they'll make it work, but you're right. It is going to be a challenge. And I think what we're seeing is we're in a growth period for the Sports Car Club of America again. I mean, at the recent Solo Nationals, they had an all-time record attendance for competitors. Just some absolutely remarkable developments that have been happening here. The numbers up for this Runoffs, they're going to, I'm sure, be strong in the future, and things are looking very, very good. So we're going to pause for just a second and come right back and bring you the call for Formula Atlantic. "19 champions have been crowned. 57 top 3 medals have been awarded in the first 2 days of the 53rd running of the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs. Today is day 3, the final day, and 9 more champions from the 600 entries here are yet to be adorned with the gold medal as this prestige event has returned to the track that was its home from 1994 to 2005. We are back at Mid-Ohio and set to contest the first race of this day, and it's one of the fastest of all the classes in SCCA competition, Formula Atlantic. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, along with Dorsey Schrader, and we're going right to the onboard here. This is our Garmin Verb Lap of Mid-Ohio for Formula Atlantic. Pole sitter Ryan Norman.
Ryan Norman takes it into turn 1. Barely even need to slow up whatsoever in one of these cars for that corner. Hard acceleration. It eats up this straightaway. This is the second longest straightaway on the course. We're headed toward the keyhole. We do not use the chicane this year. Here is the keyhole, a 180 downhill right-hander. Uses all the curb, both out and inside, and runs onto the longest back straightaway of the course. This is where you get the start-finish, or the start right up here on the left, the Honda building. The best overtaking place on the racetrack is right here, the brake zone for turn 4. Now, turn 4 is the twisty bits, or the beginning of what we call madness. A series of corners that come at you in this type of a car extremely quickly. This one a bit off camber. Would really hassle most cars, but with these Formula Atlantic cars and full ground effects, nothing hassles these cars. They turn when you tell them to. And now this morning might be a different story as we look at a very cold temperature coming up through Thunder Valley. Quick left-hander, blind corner right here leads to the carousel. That's a really quick lap, believe it or not. The lap's almost over as we go through the carousel. And the flick back to the left onto the pit straightaway, and that is the finish line to your left.
And for Ryan Norman, this is a special one. Second at Daytona last year, but he has a new track record here in qualifying, and he's already had an amazing year. He is Super Sweep eligible, which means he won the nationwide points title. He also won his conference championship. He also has won a key event in the majors. He just has to get the race done here at the Runoffs, and he's already on pole. And Jeff Lepper down in pit lane for us in this one. And Jeff, I'll tell you what, these cars in these conditions, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be fast. You already said a 1:14 second lap time, the all-time lap time fastest here at Mid-Ohio for any of our amateur categories here racing this weekend, so it's going to be fun to watch him. I like that there's only 5 cars in Formula Atlantic. I like it when it was Formula B back in 1979. Now it comes into the Atlantic days. They had a Pro Series. Now it's been the Club Amateur Series. Mazda, Toyota, and Honda engines all racing here this weekend.
I agree. I think it should go back to Formula B. I ran Formula B and Formula Atlantic. But what happened with this class is it went pro and it priced itself out of most people's realm. These are extremely expensive cars, and they're expensive cars to maintain and run. So a lot of guys went to lesser formulas, and that's the new niche in open-wheel racing, is to develop a formula that people can afford. And Honda's doing it, and Mazda's doing it.
Well, this level of performance isn't cheap, that's for sure. This is absolutely full tunnel downforce technology.
12 years behind the wheel of these type of car, from starting back in 1973 in Formula B, like Jeff was talking about, and then all the way through the conversion over to Formula Atlantic and up through the 80s.
And there is a look at your pole sitter, Ryan Norman. As I said, already a tremendous season. Adds a runoff pole. was second at Daytona in his first runoffs, so would like to put that all together. Keith Grant actually had set the track record on Wednesday qualifying, and then Ryan really put in a great time and took that away. Brian Novak, who of course very, very talented driver, sitting in third on the grid, the number 75 Swift 014A Honda, and he is a three-time gold medalist. Of course, very successful in Formula 500. Spencer Brockman, Dwight Ryder fill out the field, and we will have a new champion this year. No defending. Tyler Hunter decided not to come to the runoffs this year, so we're going to see this one play out. And it's a field that, you know, maybe a little short in number, but it's deep in talent when you take a look at the entries here, particularly those first three.
Cars have a great power-to-weight ratio, with all these cars pushing over 200 horsepower and weighing in at around 1,000 pounds, just a tad over. They are very, very fast race cars, and with the ground effects added to that equation, you don't slow up anywhere.
Well, it's interesting. At Daytona, with that long straights and the aerodynamics, the older Swift 014 with its lower side pods, smaller frontal area, was the car to have. Here, the front row, the newer Swift 016s, which is much more aggressive aero, much bigger tunnel entries, much bigger side pods, and it showed with a front row sweep by those machines. However, the power plants are the interesting thing. Mazda's across the front row, then Honda and Mazda second row, and Toyota and the older Ralt RT41. Nice to see one of those cars still out there running.
Of course, it used to be a Ford Cosworth engine.
Yeah, way back in the day.
BDA, 1.6 liter. That all stays the same. Still is 1.6.
All right, now watch for that pace car. It's going to make a move into the cutoff. Yeah, it's about to be overrun if it doesn't. And now it's up to the front row as we start day 3, 23 laps of Formula Atlantic National Championship racing. The green is out, and Norman got it. Nice little jump, timed it beautifully. Ryan Novak thought about it, that yellow machine for a second, tucks back in behind Keith Grant.
First lap might be dicey as they have to worry about getting the tire pressure and temperatures up on these cars. Very cold day right now. It's about 52 degrees.
And low sun, too.
Yeah, that's true. The low sun will be a problem because you're looking smack into it about 3 times a lap here.
Absolutely. We got a spotter on the after dropping me off on the way back said, you might want to mention that because it's going to be pretty crucial here. And absolutely, and especially when you're climbing up into it, and there's enough blindness on this track.
There's a couple places here that you just get blinded by the sun. You go straight up into it, like you say. Elevation at Mid-Ohio is one of the fun aspects of this racetrack. Arguably the most challenging. I think this is the most technical racetrack I can think of as far as car placement.
Yep.
You know, it's imperative that you know that, and a wiggle, pretty good wiggle there off of turn 1.
Grant looked a little wide. As you said, track pretty cool.
I almost saw moisture, I thought, but as he turned into turn 1, it almost looked like a sheen on the top of the racetrack that could have indicated just some morning dew.
Well, that's possible. I mean, things were pretty well misted over this morning here, and you could see the effectiveness of those 2 cars up front. They're just driving away from a 3-time champion sitting in third, Brian Novak, at this track. And it's just about these things manage aero so incredibly well, don't they?
Well, they're just miniature version of a Formula 2 car, or the smaller, little less horsepower.
Yep.
But they are Formula 1, nice power slide there. Formula 1 technology all the way, you know, they very, very high-tech cars. There is no limit legality-wise to the things you can do in this class.
Yeah, they run the full tunnel technology. And you made a very good point, though. This track has a few slow technical corners, and when you're depending on aero that much for your grip, when you're out of the aero and you're not going fast enough, these cars could be a little bit tough. Right?
Full aero downforce cars usually suck at slow-speed corners because of the downforce that they make, you have to make pretty heavy spring rates. You have to run pretty thick, heavy springs to hold them up off the ground. Well, that doesn't equate with going slow when they don't make downforce. Then those springs become too much. See that sheen right there in turn 1? Looks like it's just a little moisture there, which wouldn't surprise me. It won't be there long.
Not at all.
Particularly under that bridge because it's shaded.
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's going to take a little longer for the moisture on the track. They did have the blowers out this morning trying to not just clean the track, but I think dry it and warm it a little bit here.
Yeah, places in the back like Thunder Valley where the trees overhang the track, those tend to stay damp for a lot longer than these straightaways that are sitting out in the sun.
Look there at Keith Grant running second. longtime Runoffs competitor. This is his 20th, and he has won championship, but it came right here at Mid-Ohio in 2003, but in GT4. A little bit different type of a beast he's running.
We used to call him Grant's Army because his brothers, everybody in the family raced the car, and they did primarily all run sedans back in the day, but Keith has gone into Atlantic and has been there now for several years.
Now look at Brian Novak, and he's running a triple element rear wing. I mean, that tells you that they are looking for absolute max downforce on this track.
This morning you would want some downforce too, because it's with that light dew on the track, if you want to call it that, and certainly with the cold air temp, you make some good downforce in this type of weather too, for that matter.
I'll tell you, Spencer Brockman, who is a rookie here at the Runoffs, is having himself a pretty solid run right up on a 3-time champion. And Keith Grant, Brockman this year, in his majors, which is what they call the nationals now. That's the majors. They've created these new categories, and it's been great. They've seen big growth in entry numbers with this new majors championship and running in conferences. It's been a great call. And Brockman, a couple of wins, 4 top 3s, second in his conference here. So he's having a good run, and he's closing in on Novak. As I said, Novak, a 3-time champion, running in his 16th runoff. Last championship came in 2014 out at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in Formula 500, where his name is absolutely intertwined with what's happened, especially in the last decade or so of Formula 500, if not more.
That definitely is moisture that's under the bridge in turn 1, because that time when they went through, both these cars took a little bit different line and ran through an area that hadn't been touched yet. And when they went through there, they dried the track behind it, so it's definitely moist there. Luckily for them, turn 1 is a very high-speed corner, and their ground effects save them. But it might be good that they're the first cars out here, because they'll actually dry the track.
That's a good point, yeah.
If we went out there with a high-powered car with no downforce, turn 1 might be seeing wrecks by now.
A little diabolical, you're saying, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely wet. You'll see it this next time. But I saw last time that they went on a new part of the track that hadn't been touched.
Okay.
And when they went through there,
a little bit of spray, huh?
You can see the different lines. There's about 3 laps in, and you can see all 3 of them on that camera shot under the bridge in turn 1. Watch when we go to the heads-on shot right there.
Yeah.
Just watch right there.
Oh, yeah. Saw it kick up. Novak ran it just a little bit, didn't he? And Novak running the new Honda power plant, which in the past, I mean, for a long time, as you said, it was a Cosworth. Then when it sort of mimicked the Pro Atlantic Championship, they were mostly Toyotas. Then, of course, Mazda, they created an opportunity to put a Mazda in the back of these cars, and now they've opened it up, and there is a Honda in that yellow machine right there. And I think it's the first time we've had a Honda in one of these cars at the Runoffs, so it's going to be interesting to see where it plays out. It'll be a good reference point.
I think about every car manufacturer nowadays runs a 1.6-liter double overhead cam 4-valve engine. That used to be, state-of-the-art technology. Now it's commonplace. I mean, everybody runs fuel-injected 1.6-liter four valves.
And watching as, boy, I'll tell you, just been an impressive weekend for this guy. Ryan Norman and Dorsey, you've been talking about track conditions. Well, Jeff is out there in pit lane right on that track. Jeff, what do you got?
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Greg. My feet are a little slick here, even on pit lane. Talked to the Cahill Motorsports team of Ryan Norman, your leader right now, and said that he's tiptoeing around, trying to drive some of the rain lines. The track is very, very treacherous, especially with these big slicks, trying to get heat built up. It's only about 51 degrees here right now. They can't get the heat. They're running 9 seconds a lap slower than they did in qualifying.
Holy cow, that's a ton, 9 seconds.
Yeah, it's almost like it's wet,
Well, it's wet under that bridge, there's no doubt. You don't see these cars moving like you would normally because of the ground effects that they have. But if this was GT1 that's out there right now, we'd be in trouble.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, good run here is Brockman in the 34, starting to close it up a little bit. The Mazda Milford Swift 014 Mazda, and he's taking a run at Novak here in that Honda Performance Development Hoosier tired machine.
Got
the
a
yellow
twitch.
75, a little twitch.
Yeah, I got a little twitch coming out of the keyhole at the power down corner exit. And it just gives you the indication how slippery it really is. 9 seconds, like Jeff was talking about, that's unheard of. 9 seconds is a rain number.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think we're really seeing here in these very slick conditions the much more effective downforce of those two Swift 016s They're just running laps right now 4 to 5 seconds faster than this duo, but they're embroiled in a nice little battle. And Brockman, last few laps, continuing to chip in and closing in on Novak.
Well, this depends, you know, with it being like it is. You wonder if anybody made any chassis adjustments to compensate for how cold it was this morning. You know, if you had done that, if you'd have softened the springs up and if you put some downforce in or softened the chassis at all, it would have helped a lot with the slippery condition. But I don't know if they really had time to assess that. They certainly didn't get any laps in before they went out there.
Absolutely. But boy, let's see, Brockman that time, ran a lap, another 10th quicker. And he is now, well, you can see it. It's down to a matter of car lengths here. And at what point here, Dorsey, is he going to start to get into the wash of the aero of that car in front of him?
They're pretty slippery, so you don't feel it that much, not like you do in a big car. These cars, even with the wings, they throw the air pretty much above you. Once you're, you got to be just about on the gearbox to feel anything at all.
And the nice thing about a tunnel car is that actually even minimizes things more because you're not in that dirty air that's flowing over the car. It's a lot cleaner air running underneath, right?
You watch them in the rain when they run in the rain, and the spray goes immediately high. You know, it leaves the back of the car, and 3 foot behind the car, it's way over the height of any car that would be behind it.
By the way, the two guys that are leading right now, Ryan Norman and Keith Grant. Ryan won the 2016 Pro Atlantic Championship. Keith Grant, 2015 Pro Champ. So, but these guys, they really make their seasons in club racing. They really love it. And but if you're winning a couple of pro titles, you're obviously doing something right.
You know, there's so many open wheel classes now, so many formulas that have been designed over the years. This is the one that is taking the brunt of the new classes in losing its numbers. Atlantic was the epitome. It was always the fastest class that SCCA ran, and in its day, that was your step to Indy. That was your step. But now, you know, Mazda has a program directly to involve young drivers, a stepping stone, a ladder, if you will, that gets you to Indy. So this class is kind of fallen by the wayside. A lady which you know and I know very well, Vicky O'Connor, saved this class years back when it was almost in the obscurity. And she put in a tremendous amount of work to keep this class alive, but now it needs the same thing again.
Yeah, that's great performance, no question. You know, and this class has seen the record all time for the youngest ever national champion, and that was a guy named Graham Rahal when he won it. And of course, you know, he had family connections, but he went on to a pretty stellar career. And Dan Carmichael, I think Graham won it at 15, and Dan Carmichael won it here at Mid-Ohio. He was 76 years old when he won the national championship.
Ironically, it was Graham Rahal's track record that got broken here just the other day.
Yep, that's pretty impressive stuff. And you know, we've seen a lot over the years, lots of drivers that have won a Formula Atlantic National Championship. It has been a springboard of sorts for them, at least up to get a good ride in the Pro Atlantic Series in its heyday and launch them on. And right now, Ryan Norman is trying to, I'm sure, attract some attention.
It'd be one thing to have Bobby Rahal as your father, but to have John Force as your father-in-law.
Well, that's a good point,
Graham's in some pretty tough company.
That's an interesting, I bet Thanksgivings are fun.
Well, you got to know they are.
By the way, Ryan Norman, he's one of these young guns hoping that this will lead to something here. 18 years old for Ryan. And Spencer Brockman, who's having that good run chasing down Brian Novak, younger still at 16. So that game is, you know, still afoot here. Dwight Ryder, who's running in 5th right now, and that older Ralt RT41 is 69, a spry 69 years old. There's a look at Keith Grant. You look over, you know, the years at the runoffs in the competition. It's just pretty impressive what Grant's Army, as you referred to, what they've done. And look here at Dwight. And again, that is, you know, we've been talking about the technology in these cars, but you can see very different look to the front end of this one. That Ralt RT41, it was the car in its era, certainly. Yeah. And then the Swift 014 came along, changed the game again.
You know, back in the Formula B days, these were flat-bottom cars. They had no ground effects. They had even bigger rear tires than what these cars carry. Had big, fat rear tires, which people love.
Yep.
Look, you know, they look just like Formula One cars. And they had front wing, rear wing, for sure, but with the flat bottom, not near the grip potential that these cars were looking at, too. which made it more fun to watch, to be honest with you, because they'd be twitching all over the place. You know, big power slides off corners all the time.
Oh, look at this now. This battle for the final podium spot and that bronze medal. Brockman has caught him. The young man is hooked up. Now the question is getting around a driver of the caliber of Brian Novak. Not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. But
still twitching around. You see him still making corrections coming down the straightaway. Good run for Brockman right here. He's up in the slipstream.
He is.
And he pops.
Well, Novak knew it. He was trying to defend, and Brockman going to come down the inside.
Got that clean. Easy pass.
Nice job. And I was going to say, we're going to see a little bit of a study here in the straight line speeds between that Mazda-powered car of Brockman and the Honda-powered car of Novak. And again, that's a newer package for this class, so it's still a little bit unknown. And Novak's best top speed right now is 140 even, and Spencer Brockman at a 141.5 miles an hour. So that gives you a little bit of something.
Didn't have an easy week here at the runoffs as they Novak blew an engine earlier in the week, and they had to replace the engine, so he missed one of the qualifying days completely as they did the engine change. They run a lot of RPM in these engines, about 10,000, and like I said, these are production base street car engines that are tweaked heavily. But like I say, almost every manufacturer nowadays does make a 1.6 liter 4-valve twin cam, and that's what all these carry, no matter what they manufacture.
I wonder if that extra element in the back of on Novak's rear wing might be hurting him just a little bit. You know, I mean, that straight line speed, that's going to create some drag.
Well, it allows him to run less wing angle since he's got more of them.
That's a good point.
So that compensates a little for drag to the single element wing that you need to turn up. But with the tunnels, these cars don't need a lot of wing in addition to that either.
Right. It's more to balance the car out.
Yeah, you're correct. Trying to balance the front to the rear.
Up and over the top of madness. The S's, this whole section is madness.
This is the type of car that, if you were an engineer and you had a clean piece of paper and you were going to design something to go fast, this is what you'd end up with. These cars are purpose-built to be the very, very best at what they do.
And they are effective, no question. And things happen in these cars, including lap count in a hurry. We're coming up to halfway already.
Yeah, they eat the racetrack up. No doubt about it.
And the times are coming down as the track's warming up. Tires getting more grip and the pressures are there. We're now down best lap of 120.6 set by Norman last lap. Grant hasn't been able to match that yet, and he continues to drift off just a little bit, about 11 seconds in arrears right now. And then Spencer Brockman getting around Novak. And those guys have consistently been about 4 to 5 seconds off of that lead duo. And, the skill of these guys is there. It's just the performance of these different chassis.
These used to be, these races used to be 24, 25 cars, and you wouldn't have that big a gap when you had that many cars out there. But with just the 5 of them going at it, they can separate themselves quite a bit.
Watching him feed throttle here up through the S's, and
arguably this is a class that could sustain and could use much more horsepower than what the 1.6 liter can make. But once again, that just puts you in another Formula car class, which is kind of become the problem when you've got like 6 Formula car classes and they all look so similar.
Yep. Oh, look at this now. Leader Norman coming up onto the back of Dwight Ryder. He's got a huge lead, so of course Norman can be as patient as he needs to be here to work his way around Dwight. I'm sure Dwight, looking at those flaggers,
just drives around.
Yep. Dwight opens the door up and lets our leader fly through, and he is doing that. He is absolutely hooked up right now relative to the rest of this field.
Okay, look at those huge tunnels on that car.
Yep.
Scooping all that air up, forcing it through a Venturi effect at the back, which creates a huge suction to the asphalt below.
Yeah, it's oftentimes it's the tails away. When you look at the car exiting a turn is when you can really see all that tunnel and aero technology on the back of the cars.
So when he gets the power, a little twitch.
Yeah, it's cool. Cahill Motorsports and the flip side. sponsor on the side of that Hoosier Tire, Mazda. And as I said, he's super sweep eligible, and if everything is going the way it's going, he's going to get that. And that's a rare achievement.
As these cars developed over the years, you know, that they're purpose built. Like I say, this is a Champ Car chassis that you would run in the Pro Series with. And that is a spec chassis, if you will, to that series. Used to, in the old days, you know, that would have big sports car noses or big wide noses across the front.
Right, yep.
And then they went to dive-plane noses. Of course, these cars now carry their nose high in the air with the nose below it, hanging off of it, if you will, pulling down on it.
Yep.
A bunch of different. As technology in Formula One goes up aero-wise, well, it transfers down directly to these cars.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, Formula One now is mandatory flat bottom, what with monster diffusers, but it was pioneered some of this downforce and tunnel technology along with Jim Hall Chaparrals and in IndyCar competition.
In Formula One, it was Lotus,
exactly,
that came along, and in Can-Am, it was Chaparral that came along and actually, you know, started a new technology.
Absolutely. But yeah, when you got the downforce being generated by the tunnels, you want to get the air into the underside of the car as clean as possible, and that's sort of, and even with a diffuser, you know, flat bottom diffuser, you want to have that air as clean as possible, and that's why they started to raise the nose up, is to help channel the air more effectively.
It's all magic.
It truly is. Well, it is. It's, you know, I mean, it isn't. It's a science, but boy, it's a black art science because, you know, you've got to envision this stuff, and they talk about boundary layers and the like. And I mean, with some of the downforce, you know, some of the cars, when they eliminated the skirts, they started to put these little curly Q kind of pieces of bodywork to get the air to spin and seal.
Calvin calls them all widgets.
Widgets, yeah. And it's just amazing what these aerodynamicists are able to envision and then make real. It's just fantastic what they can do. You know, Novak, he got passed by young Mr. Brockman, but he's keeping him in sight here. This is Keith Grant now coming up under the back of Dwight.
The wing end plates that were developed for race cars, and they're all different. Everybody has a different way of doing that. But those end plates on the wing were built to keep the air on the wing, to keep it from falling off the sides of it. And now, guess what has those? Airplanes now have those because it's a more efficient. The technology for aero actually goes now into that realm. That's the winglets you see at the end of the wings used to be just, you know, to their end, and now they got these kick-ups.
Yep, yeah. And I mean, look at the side of the Ralt, the second car in the frame there. You can see how low relative it is, and if you get a look at the side of the Ralt, and he's got those pretty well highlighted in a green, they are huge. I mean, almost the height of the entire front tire to try and keep that air spill. Yeah.
Old flat bottom March I drove in 78, 79, the wing end plate was extended from the top of the wing all the way down to the ground. And that was to keep the car going straight since it was a flat bottom. If the back end started to step out, well, that was just like a sprint car does with its wing. Okay. It's a big, huge wing to keep it from going too far sideways.
Looking at the laps now, Norman has dipped into the 119s. His qualifying lap was a 114.9.
Still 5 seconds a lap.
Still well off, yeah, 119.9. Grant just sets his best lap at a 120.3. And Brian Novak, that last lap, ran a lap 7/10 quicker than Brockman. So we'll see whether he starts to take it back. And again, that's going to be the fight here. For the indeed he has. Look at, he's all over the back of Spencer. Novak down into the S's into turn 4. Wasn't quite close enough, and Brockman just drove the outside. And it's the overall leader coming up right behind him, Ryan Norman, coming up on this battle.
Going to lap through the field if once they get to...
It's potential, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to keep him back there with the speed he's got.
And right now, you know Novak's not just going to open the door up for Norman and
he
risk getting him in between. Yeah,
he's got to.
He's in his own fight here for a medal.
He's got a battle of his own to fight. That has nothing to do with the overall leader.
It'll be interesting to see how
you probably get him down here on the way into one.
Yeah, how 18-year-old Ryan Norman deals with this battle he's coming up on. And he's got plenty of margin to be plenty patient, and he's doing exactly that.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to prove here. Sometimes lapping through the field is a good thing, and sometimes it's not.
Yep. Yeah. And you saw the experience of Novak there. He just waved him through.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. That was the right place to do it, too, on the straightaway where nobody's getting hurt by it. You know, neither car lost anything to it.
I wonder if Novak lifted a little bit to let him through, because he was all over the back of Brockman. There it goes.
Decisive move.
Yeah. So that means Novak now is going to have to find it a little bit. Part of it is that Brockman responded running a lap 0.3 quicker than Novak did that last time, and that was across the start-finish line before Norman made that pass. So
Novak's digging, though. He's trying to get that back.
Yeah, he wants another medal. Absolutely. I mean, total, he's got, Novak, 5 medals, 3 of them gold, and then 1 bronze and 1 silver for a second-place finish. So he likes the feel of that medal hanging around his neck.
Yep. Nothing wrong with it.
At all. When you were running in Formula B, Formula Atlantic, did you run the runoffs?
Yeah, I ran
that era?
I ran runoffs quite a few times in Formula B in Atlantic. I don't know exactly how many, probably 7 or 8 though.
Okay.
I think my best finish was 3rd out of all those. Had older cars primarily. You know, the first car was a 1971 Brabham BT35.
Oh, what a glorious car, though.
Good old car. Yeah. Still to this day a good car.
Well,
Tube frame.
It's one of the prettiest cars you see out running in historic racing.
Yeah, it's historic racing. It's still one of the sought after. The BT29, BT35 are gorgeous cars, really pretty.
So
and then all the flat bottom marches that came on after that, from 75 on.
Keith Grant started to push a little bit. He just took fast lap away from Ryan Norman, and you saw Novak has reeled in Brockman again, and that battle for that final podium spot is on. But Keith now finding some speed. The problem is that he's almost 10 seconds in arrears right now. Here's the battle for 3rd, and as Norman worked through, and that gap got split just a little bit and opened up.
Novak caught up.
He has his last lap. Well, they were pretty dead even last lap. Let's see what happens here. I think this one's going to.
Boy, look at the sheen from the sun.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before. Coming out of Canada Corner, it's kind of shaded over there, and then you pop out into this really bright sunlight.
Brockman just ran his best lap at a 23.7, but Novak gets his best at a 23.3. And there comes Grant behind, so they're going to have to deal with that scenario again. And Novak has to figure out a way to be able to let Grant through and not cost him a lot of distance to Brockman here. As next time they come by, we got 3 laps left.
These cars still slip sliding a little bit, particularly up there in the keyhole. Everybody's wagging the tail, and you don't see that much with this class, so you know it's slippery up there. It's going to be interesting for our next race that doesn't have ground effects. They're going to have a handful.
Well, this isn't a track that, you look at the track service, it's,
and
Novak spins it.
Good
he
job
was
of
pushing
locking the brakes up there. He would have backed into the other car. He was pushing. He was trying quite hard to get up there, and now he's gone a little too far and spun himself again.
You can see, look at the heat in the tires and the cold of the grass, and they're just steaming.
They'll be slippery now. He's about to lose another place.
Watch it here.
Just got too much speed over the top of that hill. The car gets light. Right there, like I said, I thought he was going to back into the field.
Yeah. Now Novak's got all those, dirt on the tires, moisture on the tires.
It's going to take a lap or 2 for that to be happy again. Luckily for him, he kept the engine running, was able to drive on. Those engines do not like to start when they're hot. One reason is that the starter motor is about the size of your thumb. It's not a very big starter motor, and they carry a very small battery to keep the weight down. And when you get ready to start them out in pit lane, there's a jumper cart there, so you plug in, and that really starts it up for you. But once you get disconnected from that jumper cart, you're sitting there with a little motorcycle battery to run this car. All the races are only half hour long, 40 minutes long, so it doesn't require a big battery. No headlights, none of that business.
Yeah, exactly. Woo.
Power on slide there.
And
another one.
Yeah. Well, But what I was going to say is, you look at this track, and it is not a dark black pavement. It's light, and in spots lighter still.
Well,
and it just doesn't really retain heat, does it?
An older paving job,
Right.
and then they have always at Mid-Ohio used this sealer.
Yep.
And where you see those dark areas that it's been resurfaced, they put a sealer down, and that sealer doesn't give you grip for sure.
Let's see that time, Grant. Well, of course, that lap not quite as quick, and Norman has been able to get that margin back up to over 10 seconds here.
There's a lot of bumps on this racetrack too. The guys that run here all the time, they get familiar with a path around all that.
Right.
But if you don't come here but once a year to run the runoffs, you just never get 100% on this track. You really need to talk to Brian Till or Tommy Byrne that run the school,
Yep.
that are here every single day, and they can bring you around and point you out different places on this racetrack that you wouldn't know, something exists on.
Well, and then you've got the pavement changes. You can see 3 of them right there, and each one of those has a little bit of a different grip coefficient, doesn't it?
And this track was designed to be hard to race on intentionally. I mean, these designers make these off-cambered corners, so the car doesn't want to grip on the exit. It wants to get looser, push off the exit.
All right.
Not one white flag out, 1 to go.
1 to go. And Norman, that was fast lap of the race,
Yeah, he
making
looked
a
fast
statement.
right there too.
Yeah, a 1:19.384.
Still 4 seconds lap slower than he qualified on the pole with. So the track. That's the track. It's certainly not the car.
Well, remember, we've talked about it a few times. They made a change this year where every qualifying session for your race group was in a similar time to when you're going to run. So every time these guys ran, it was within the first couple hours of the morning. And even though it got hot late in the day.
Yeah, some of those mornings were 80 degrees a week ago, not now.
Yeah, perfect conditions. And, some of those mornings where there was heat in the track, you could go out and really let it fly.
This
morning was a little bit of a curveball.
Quite the change in temperature over this past week. Of course, it was also the first day of fall just a day or 2 ago.
Absolutely. Up and over the jump one final time.
Those cars do just like a nice little slide over there. They don't get the drama that other cars do.
Well, as all the mechanical elements want it to spring upward, the aero just pushes it right back down, doesn't it? All right, here he comes, and he's looking not only at a gold medal, but a super sweep. Ryan Norman gets the gold medal in Formula Atlantic in the 2016 SCCA National Championship runoffs, putting a huge exclamation point on an already fabulous season. The 18-year-old in that Cahill Motorsports Hoosier Mazda-powered Swift 016 absolutely ruled this one start to finish. Here comes Spencer Brockman, and he is going to come through, and he will pick up the flag and get himself the bronze medal. And, of course, Keith Grant, here he comes. He's already taken that checkered flag, so Grant will add a silver medal to his collection, bringing his total now, I believe, up to 6. Nice job here. And coming around, Brian Novak, able to stay in front. He was already a lap clear of Dwight Ryder, so Novak gets a 4th, and Dwight Ryder in that older Ralt doing a nice job bringing that car around and bringing it home in 5th. And for Novak, it was, boy, if you wouldn't have had that spin, that battle for that last podium spot, but with vastly experienced driver, and young Spencer Brockman, that could have been fun.
Again, different technologies on the different year chassis, too.
Yep.
We should always bring that to a point here. This is the type of class that your car this year can be obsolete next year if someone comes up with a new a widget that works better. And in its own right, that's what made this such an expensive class, because as the technology moved forward, your car could be obsolete 1 year to the next. And that's exactly what happened with me back in the day. And all of a sudden they design a car that's 3 seconds a lap faster than what your car is capable of running. You're stuck with it.
And you weren't at that point probably quite able to afford that.
No. And these are expensive cars.
You were telling me how you used to roll to the races.
Yeah, I mean we had every penny I owned was in that in that car.
And in he comes and stops. And I'll tell you what, that was an absolutely superb drive. Nary a mistake. Had a couple of nice little slides, and of course Bruce Foss greets him to get the Hoosier scarf. Not sure how else you put that. Is it a headband?
I guess.
But it's going to go on, and of course Hoosier, one of the many tire manufacturers here that are just great supporters of these teams, drivers, and programs here. And right up behind him comes Keith Grant, that's second place. And then right behind him will be Spencer Brockman, the young man, 16 years old, the future of the Sports Car Club of America.
Keith Grant, the oldest of the three.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and I think Jeff is ready to have a word with our new champion and Super Sweep winner, Jeff.
That's right, Ryan Norman gets the Super Sweep. The gold medal goes around your neck, and you finished second last year at Daytona, one better here today.
Yeah, you know, it feels great. The car was a little slick out there, so it's kind of hard to get some fast laps, but as the race went on, we slowly picked off speed. But yeah, the car was great. Cahill Motorsports gave me a great car this year, and I couldn't complain. You know, coming back from second last year to win the national championship is awesome.
Tell us about the track conditions here. Obviously, the lap time's about 5 seconds slower than your fastest pole lap that anyone's ever done here that you did on Thursday.
Well, it's really cold out today, so the tires never got up to temp, and the sun's just coming out now, so the track should heat up during the next couple of races.
Well, Ryan Norman, your Formula Atlantic champion here today.
And what a ride he put on. You know, and he brought up a good point. Obviously, clear skies, the sun was out, but it's so low in the sky, it's not really doing anything in terms of the angle to hit the track.
And there was moisture as well.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no question we could see moisture in the shaded areas of the racetrack, particularly turn one. These cars handle that much better than any other car does. So we'll probably see a pretty exciting race right behind this, as those cars don't have ground effects to save them. And that racetrack, like he just said, in the next race or two will warm up, but not quite yet.
Let's get back down and check in with our silver medalist.
Well, Keith Grant, your 7th medal. This one's silver today. Tell us first off about the track today.
They were terrible. It was like racing on a slick track the whole day. I mean, Mid-Ohio is notorious for this first thing out in the morning, and just proved true again today. It was like running on a wet track this morning. So,
well, 7 medals and 20 starts. How's that feel?
Well, it's good. I wish it had been a gold, but I'll take the silver today.
Well, congratulations on your 2nd place today for Keith Grant.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he had that track record. He had set it on Wednesday, and then Norman came through and took a few more tenths out of it and took it away. But he's, his family, Grant's Army, we've talked about it, have been such stalwart supporters of SCCA National Championship competition. Always great to see one of them up on the podium. And with that, speaking of podiums, let's get down and hear from the 3rd member of the podium, our bronze medalist. Sorry, Jeff.
Well, Spencer Brockman, you get that bronze medal in your debut here in the SCCA Runoffs. What's this mean to you so far?
I mean, it's been an awesome year. We came to Atlantic, and Uwe Olsen, Mark Poborski, they've been working their ass off in the garage, getting the car prepped. We put together this Mazda package. Steve Knapp worked at Elite Engines, did a really good job. I mean, I can't thank Hoosier, Lake Forest Sports Car, my dad, I mean, everybody, all the SCCA guys put together a great event. I'm happy to be here. It's my first year in Atlantic, and I couldn't be happier.
So for all the people at home that are watching live at SCCA.com, we got to just tell, how old are you?
I'm 16 years old.
So able to finally drive a scooter and a golf cart in the pits.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, congratulations to Spencer Brockman. 3rd place here in Florida Atlantic today.
Yeah, man, you look at these young guns, you look at Norman and Brockman, and you realize, that's the future of the sport, that's the future of SCCA, and boy, did they put on a show in this class. But Norman and Brockman, that was impressive stuff.
Yeah, it
in
was.
These conditions in particular.
Everybody he just named on his crew is guys that I raced against and with, and they've been in that sport for a long time, so he's with a good team with Elite, and they'll take care of him and guide him in the right direction. And that's what it takes,
Absolutely.
really.
Well, Uwe Olsen has been doing this
Uwe's been there forever.
Time,
Knapp, as an engine builder, is great.
All right. Well, that wraps up our coverage of Formula Atlantic here at the 2016 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Once again, the field may be a little light in number, but some great young talent put on a show, and it looks like we've got a great future in SCCA national level competition. So fantastic. And thanks again so much for joining us. For Dorsey Schrader and Jeff Leppard down in pit lane, I'm Greg Creamer. It has been a pleasure. Absolutely beautiful day here at Mid-Ohio. Lots more racing to come. So stay with us.